you guys, it's Amanda with Healthy House on the Block, and I'm here with another blog post and another video talking about how we can keep our indoor spaces as toxin free as possible and make them healthier. A lot of times we'll go through a habit, a product swap, a particular toxin, and today it's a product swap, but it's one that we probably don't think of very often. However, it's a really easy, cost-effective change that you can make, and it will reduce toxins in your home that you probably weren't even thinking about. So today I'm going to talk to you about different types of adhesives, caulking, and construction glues. These are items that we really should be using quite often in our homes. As many of you know, I'm a home inspector, and it's one of the main things that we see in bathrooms, kitchens, a lot of the silicone that goes between the countertops, the plumbing fixtures, the tile, it gets worn away and people need to continuously put more on and kind of upkeep with this. Well, if we can keep toxin-free products in our home while we're doing these projects, not only are we going to protect our living spaces from extra moisture that we don't want infiltrating our walls and our subfloors, but we're also going to be reducing the amount of toxins that are in that space, and especially while we're using the product. So adhesives, glues, caulking, that can be used, it's used in home projects. If we're doing a little bit of maintenance, it can be used in furniture projects. It can be used really anywhere, exterior or interior in the house, that we need to seal areas from water. So this week's post, I'm going to take you through some of the really easy swaps that you can make, just finding something that doesn't have formaldehyde in it, something that is toxin free that you can just keep at your house, because you probably won't use a whole tube or a whole can of it. You can just buy it and then you have it. So one of the reasons that we want to avoid these conventional adhesives and glues and caulking is because they contain a number of different chemicals in them. The first being formaldehyde. A lot of adhesives use a formaldehyde solvent, and that's what makes them such great adhesives for construction. So this would be something where we're gluing flooring down, we're gluing furniture, we're gluing wood to wood. So this is something that we want to avoid, and they don't say on them contains formaldehyde. So another toxin that we would look at would be silica. It's a filler that's added to caulks and adhesive products, and it can cause irritation to your eyes, your nose while you're using it, and then it off gases, and has been noted by different studies that it can cause an increased risk of cancer. So we want to avoid that. Talc is another filler that they put in. This is like to give it like a certain color and texture. A lot of talc contains asbestos, so we definitely want to be avoiding that. Another one is phthalates, which we've talked about in past posts and videos. Formaldehyde, we just talked about. Styrene is usually found in like acrylic caulking, and long-term exposure is going to increase risk of damage to the central nervous system, kidney damage, as well as an increased risk of cancer. And I have all of these posts, or all of these toxins have the studies linked to them in my post. So I have that linked below for you, and if you go through, it'll have a highlighted link that you can follow to find information on these post. But then other things that we want to avoid would be BPA, which we talked about a couple weeks ago. And then there's an additive that they're adding to especially caulking, that is to prevent mold and mildew. It's like it just kind of prevents that bacteria from growing. And a lot of times, unfortunately, it's not a healthy component for our homes, and it does continue to off-gas. So I'm taking you through a couple slides which will talk about all of these items, and then I'm also going to share with you some really great brands. There's lots and lots of options out there now, and there weren't just a few years ago. So I'm going to take you through that, and then at the end we'll talk about some maintenance that you can do with these toxin-free adhesive, glues, and caulking. So let's talk about these green building materials, and specifically we're going to look at toxin-free adhesives, caulks, and construction glues. So first let's talk about the problems with the conventional products that we tend to just buy at like a hardware store. So I don't know about you, but I hadn't thought really hard about what is in that tube of glue or caulking. Why would I? Because often I would just go grab whatever was at the hardware store, whatever was cheapest, whatever I had used before. But as I did more research, I found that there's a few key ingredients that are big offenders when it comes to components of caulks, adhesive, and glues. So the first one is silica. It's a filler that's added, and it has problems with both long-term and short-term use. So first, when it's used, it can irritate the eyes and nose, and then long-term, it can lead to an increased risk of cancer when longer exposures occur. So like when you're doing a big project, if there's a lot of it in your house and it's off-gassing. The second one is talc. Talc is a filler that is added to like polyurethane products. The reason that talc should be avoided is because it often contains asbestos. There have been numerous cases where products labeled asbestos-free do actually contain asbestos due to the fact that talc is being added during production. The next one is phthalates. I have talked about this multiple times. I have a deep dive post specifically about phthalates, but often it's in acrylic caulking, and they're like a plasticizer that disrupts the endocrine system and causes problems with hormone production. And then another additive is formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is used in many adhesives and glues, specifically in the construction space and for building materials. It's a solvent that allows for a very strong application. However, formaldehyde is a known carcinogen, and it's a VOC that never stops off-gassing. So formaldehyde is a serious toxin that it's in our homes and other places, from furniture to building materials to fabric. So anywhere we can cut this toxin out is going to be beneficial to our bodies and in helping them become less burdened. The next one is styrene. This toxin is often found in acrylic caulking as well as other areas of your home like insulation, carpet, piping. Short-term effects while using acrylic caulking is respiratory irritation as well as skin irritation. And then long-term exposure from the product in large amounts can lead to like central nervous system damage, kidney damage, as well as an increased risk of cancer. Biocides are added to prevent mold and mildew, and they can initially cause like an allergic response. It looks kind of like an irritation to the nasal and breathing passages, and then we even notice it like on the skin. Long term, it has been linked to an increased risk of cancer as well as long-term respiratory tract issues. Another additive is BPA. So this is bisphenol A. I talked about this recently, and it is a hormone disruptor that works against our endocrine system. Most of us currently have the toxin within our bodies because we come in contact with it so much. So even though it's a quickly metabolized toxin, we still have it in our body because we can't get rid of it faster than we come in contact with it. And so anywhere we can eliminate it, that is going to be beneficial. Ethylene glycol, this toxin is present in adhesives, and it's a VOC that continues to off-gas for long periods of time. The toxin has been linked to kidney toxicity and decreased normal function of the kidneys. It can also affect the nervous system negatively, as well as cause long-term issues with lung and respiratory systems. And then the last one is a human carcinogen. It's been linked to various types of cancers in different studies, and it's usually in like a polyurethane type product, and it will off-gas for long periods of time. So This is just a quick list of some of the better cost-effective options. You could pause this and take a screenshot. Otherwise, I have all of these linked on my blog post, which I have in the description for you guys. So, ECOS is a great brand. I trust them for a lot of paint and building material projects. They're completely non-toxic, completely zero VOC. AFM is another really good, trustworthy brand, kind of all around. They contain no formaldehyde. They don't release any solvents, odors. And they have a couple different products that are good for adhesives, for caulking. But they also do paints and formaldehyde blockers and all kinds of great products. And then if you're looking for like kind of just a hardware brand, there are a couple that you can seek out. DAP. I know a lot of people trust this brand. They make one that is an adhesive sealant that's 100% silicone rubber. That's a great option. Elmer's, they have a Pro Bond adhesive that is weatherproof and good for like adhering metal, glass, wood, stone, concrete. And then a couple like off brands that we don't hear about a lot would be Rescue Bond and ChemLink. They also have some really great brands. So if you're looking for any of these links to these products, please go to my blog post. It's healthyhouseontheblock.com. And then you just go to blog and you'll see that there. So why would we even need to use these adhesives and caulking? I'm going to go through some of the best applications. Myself being a home inspector, I can tell you that oftentimes something involving adhesive glue or caulking comes up on an inspection report. So here are some really good ways that you can maintain your home in a non-toxic fashion. So the first is kitchen and bathroom maintenance. This is one thing that I see all the time, and it kind of lets go in homes. And it's such an easy repair to do. It will keep moisture from going places you don't want it, and it will help keep drywall and other areas dry to prevent future issues. The next thing would be sealing windows, like window frames, door frames, especially in older homes. Every now and then we need to do some of that maintenance around window frames and door frames as our home settles, or as the weather elements kind of age the current adhesive or caulking. Keeping up on it is going to keep moisture and insects out of your home, and plus it's just going to make it more energy efficient. The next thing would be repairing cabinets and furniture. So if you're using like a good product for repairs, hopefully it'll ensure that you don't have to repair the same spot over and over. And then having like a toxin-free caulking or a green building adhesive on hand means that you're not bringing toxins and solvents into your home. And then the last one would be filling in foundation and masonry cracks. So if you have a basement, like most homes in the Midwest, you'll want to watch out for foundation cracks that develop over time. It's a natural part of settling, and it can turn into a huge, costly project if you don't take care of it as they come up. So keep an adhesive or a caulk or some sort of green epoxy that is, green, building friendly around so you can fill in whenever you need. So now that we know why we want to choose the better product, let's talk about what we will use these for in our homes. So first and foremost, I think maintenance in bathrooms. It's like the number one thing I see, and it gets kind of like forgotten about in homes. But keeping caulking in place in your bathrooms and in your kitchens is going to prevent moisture from going places that you can't get dried out. And so then you're going to prevent any sort of mold and mildew. You can also use these products to seal up window frames and door frames in older homes. Just to keep moisture out, to improve the thermal barrier so that, you have the warm air inside, colder outside in the winter, and vice versa in the summer. You can use these to repair furniture and cabinets because we all know it's better to repair something than to just junk it and find a new one. A lot of times they're better made if they're older anyways. If you're the type of person who likes to do new projects, do a DIY, these are great products to have on hand because we know they're toxin free. and you can use them in many different applications. And then the last thing that you can use these non-toxic glues, adhesives, and caulking for is if you have, say, a basement or masonry somewhere in your house and you have fine cracks, you can use those to fill in. You'll just want to double check and make sure that your product is applicable for that solution. So that is everything that you will need to know about using non-toxic building materials like caulking, adhesives, and glues. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message, send me an email, whatever is easier for you, and I can answer those questions or send you links to whatever you're looking for. Have a great week, and I will see you next time for another Healthy House tip.